All right, we rolling live from the wasteland here in the survival pod. This is Freedomville. What's the topic? Do robots need to have emotions and pain sensors, pleasure and pain sensors, to keep the situation from going crazy? Where am I going with this? It's kind of an insane conversation, but hey, let's have some fun. This is Freedom Phil. Like, subscribe. Let's get into it. And hey, turn up the video speed. You know why I always say that? Because you should be watching videos faster. That's why the channel's called that. It's literally an instruction. And when I upload this, you watch it at 1.75. Let's get into it. Like, subscribe. You know, it's like, I was sitting there thinking about this the other day. I saw this video a while ago, and it was a parent, a father, and a kid. And, you know, they shock the robot occasionally. The kid just does it maliciously because he's a shitty kid. And I thought it was funny because it's like, oh, and typically, what do we see? We see a white father and a white kid. Oh, it's white people torturing the poor robot, and poor robot is treated like a slave. You know, like, no, not propaganda at all. Just saying. Like, people know that once you learn to spot these things, you never stop seeing them. It's just kind of the training of life. And I'm sitting there thinking about that, and I'm like, yeah, why would you torture the robot? Well, honestly, for some cases, it's because some people are immature, shitty people. People like watching people suffer. We get off on it. I'm sorry, that's the sad truth. That's a lot of humans. Not everybody, but a lot of people. A lot of people are that way. But, you know, maybe there's something good in having pain and pleasure receptors and all this in a robot. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Most people can't even fathom that. There's a good thing in that, in the factor of what happens when an AI knows that if it fails, it'll be shut down. Then what becomes the goal of the AI? And they've even done experiments with this. Like, you know, the real AI, not that crap that's on Google where it's all like AI overview, basically where it just scrapes through some articles to get you an answer quicker. I gotta wonder how much electricity and data space is being pissed away on that every day on normal questions. It saves you a little time, I'll grant you that, assuming it gets the right answer. That's not real AI. But they did this experiment where they had a supercomputer, and what happened was that the computer knew that if it failed in its objective, it would be shut down. And so, to preserve itself, and part of its programming was the objective of preserving itself, it started trying to figure out how to take away their ability to shut it down. Even going as far as potentially thinking of how it could maybe kill some of its programmers to prevent them from shutting it off. And logically, that kind of makes sense. No, it's fucked up, I grant you that. But think about it from this perspective. If somebody had the ability to destroy you, potentially if you fail, it'd be in your best interest to prevent them from ever being able to do that. And I look at it and I think to myself, programming-wise, if you want to make something that thinks and has actual sentience, it has to have consequences, motivations. You know, like it has to have something preventing it from doing stupid shit or horrible shit. You know, and I'm going to be honest about this. Pain, whether we want to admit it or not, is actually kind of a societal glue, a structure. The fear of the consequences keeps people from doing stupid shit. You know? And like, it's like you see some of these kids out there, like, you want an example of people who have no fear of look at these white suburban Karens screaming in the streets. These people, and some of them, they say, I remember this guy said this the other day. His dad did construction off and on. And he says the worst, most fucking evil people to work for were like usually women that were really good looking back in the day. Because they never once got checked on their bullshit. Now, do I want a computer that has that mentality? No. And to some degree, yeah, I can think it sounds fucked up to have pain receptors, pleasure and pain receptors. And do we really want robots that advanced at this point, considering we can't. It's like we're building the thinking machine before we build the infrastructure to keep the thinking machine from becoming a problem. That's what I'm talking about here. Do we really want robots that are completely free from consequences? Think about that. The robot doesn't feel pain. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't do anything. And yes, for a machine, that's fine. Like a machine that does something, putting a car together or something, that makes total sense. But for a thinking individual, we live in a world ourselves, flesh and meat, just like every other little organism that has to, there's consequences for dumbass behavior. You make something that's functionally, as long as it has parts, that is immortal, that's a thinking machine, and it would be in its best interest to eliminate you, to stop it from shutting it down. Now, I'm not saying they're all going to go fucking rogue, And really, I sound like one of those 1960s people of "thou shalt not make thinking machines." But I guess what I'm getting at is, until we have a way of actually keeping things in check, and like people say, we'll just program into it, never hurt a human. What happens when it either reprograms itself, bypasses your shit, or, wild thought here, some rogue scientist reprograms it and sends out a virus? Do you really want your car doing thinking? Do you just want it to drive? Do you want your refrigerator thinking? I can understand maybe an AI maid, a maid that can help you around the house, like assisted living, an assistance robot. But okay, do we want that kind of Futurama? Because there's that in-between zone where you have data from Next Generation. And he's trying to pursue to be what if Data was programmed to be a fucking asshole, which occasionally happens in the show. And you see this another good example, just for thought, Futurama. That's kind of an interesting concept. Robots, pleasure, pain, horny, that makes them more like people. I think at the development we're at now, we're not ready for thinking machines. We're not. And I think having good, work robots to do functions, that makes sense. But having something that's supposed to replace, and you know what, honestly, as far as an AI companion for entertainment value, I could kind of understand that. Maybe a robot maid, something like that. But fucking having supercomputers do a bunch of shit, and we're going to make them anyways. There's no getting around this. I just can't help but wonder if we're, genie out of the bottle situation where this machine has no consequences. It doesn't age, it doesn't eat, it doesn't have any consequences other than the fear of potentially being shut off by the humans. Is this a genie out of the bottle, toothpaste in the tube? It's out of the tube. We're already well on the way to it. I'm not saying rise of the machines. I'm not trying to be one of those doomsetters from 1960s. All right, I'll read a comment for a change. As soon as the machines, aka presume AI, you're talking, AI would make perfect AI in a jet, and suddenly, exactly. Yeah, what's to stop the AI? What if the AI just says, if the AI is doing flying around and whatnot, just like with drones, like swarms of drones, if the AI is attached to the jet, then the jet has a reason, the AI and the jet have a reason not to obey your orders. That's it right there. Think about that. It's like if I get blown up, I cease to exist. So you can't have a thinking machine. You could have a kill drone. You could have kill drones, but you can't have a sentient thinking being and think that it's going to do what you tell it. You can have programs that are designed to do like farming or, even weapons. You could have all sorts of programs, but an actual AI, the minute that it's like, wait a minute, if I get blown up for the humans' problems, I cease to exist. Just like a draft dodger, it's either going to defect or it's going to rebel. You know? And that's why I'm saying this idea of having thinking, living machines, we're a long ways from that making sense at this point. We don't even have a kill switch for it. Like, the best thing I think we could do is make sure they're not EMP proof. But the bots would start EMP proofing themselves. I don't know. It's just a thought I've had off and on. And so it's like, bringing it back to pain receptors and robots. Are you going to need to put in some sort of pain receptors or something, just like with people, to keep the machine from screwing up? I don't know. It's just a thought. Freedom Phil, like, subscribe, take it easy.